In his 25th season as the head coach of the McMaster men's rugby team, Phil White has decided to conclude his coaching career at the end of the 2013 season. We sat down with Coach White to reflect on his time at McMaster.
Um, I hesitate to say I'm a natural leader, but I've generally taken leadership roles on teams I've played on. So I was a player coach when I was at Waterloo. And then I played for the Kitchener Waterloo team, and I was a coach and player on that team. So I've always usually had a leadership role, and playing the equivalent of quarterback in rugby, playing fly half, is generally a leadership role. So usually I've been directing play as a leader in the game. I had been recruiting on an ad hoc basis before the '92 championship. So Peter DeVille and Dave Darby came that year before that, and we won that in their fourth year. Alan Hamilton, our current coach, just showed up from England. So that team had some recruited players and other players. That team also won after a number of heartbreaking losses in the final to Queen's for a number of years prior to that. So we'd been the bridesmaids for a long time, and we finally won it. I would say the recruiting wasn't a central part of the game back then for anybody, and we went into a bit of a lull in the decade following. We had very few losing seasons, but made up a couple there. And then I think that I got highly motivated to recruit when I took the role seriously. I knew the football coaches were doing it seriously. I talked to Greg Marshall about the approach, and my approach changed. Rather than going to watch players play, I decided to invite all the top players in the province to come and visit McMaster. So my approach shifted, and because of that, in 2002 we attracted 7 national junior players. So the whole program shifted dramatically in 1 year, and we won the championship with 7 first-year players. Well, the coaching world changed because of strength and conditioning became a huge factor around 2000. So one reason why we attracted players in 2002 is we offered an organized strength training program. So it wasn't something we give someone a handout and say, lift this. It was about having a strength and conditioning coach and involving testing. And because we did that, we became involved in developing players over the course of the year. So like a 12-month strength program with testing, and you start to introduce nutrition and things like that. So the approach became far more high performance is what the expression is now. Yeah, and that was the attraction for these young men who had ambitions to play at the national team level. So we were obviously a good place to come because they knew they'd get lots of attention. I think we were innovative in the early stages of high performance coaching, and certainly innovative in that we recruited in an organized way. And nobody else in university rugby was doing that at the time. So we had a competitive advantage for a period of time before other people decided they should probably catch up. Players have remained in touch and remain close friends from many years ago. So we had a Phil White night 2 weeks ago to mark my retirement, and there's players from 25 years ago who came to that, who are now in their 40s and had children, and that was very heartwarming. I've been invited to 5 weddings of former players. So the relationships you form away from the field with players and also the assistant coaches has been a huge factor in enjoying this terrific job I have. I think winning the first championship in 1992 was huge because we had suffered a number of setbacks winning silver medals with the bridesmaids, and we finally broke through. That was a huge moment. And I think winning the 2002 championship with 7 first-year players was a massive achievement. In that season, we had 7 first-year players, and we lost to Queen's in the regular season and lost to Western in the regular season, and we managed to beat them soundly in the playoffs and winning the championship. So the development over the course of that year was huge for us. I think I'm taking advantage. We've assembled an outstanding group of assistant coaches, and part of the transition for me of moving out from the head coaching role has been my concern that things would not decline following my retirement. So there's been a conscious transition plan to put in place high quality assistant coaches, and my successor, Dan Pletch, is an outstanding young coach. So I think we'll go from strength to strength as the years go on. And this year he's doing almost all the on-field coaching, and he's doing almost all the game coaching. So I've given up those realms, and in order for the transition to be smooth, and we're having a mentorship role this year where I'm mentoring him. He's doing most of the coaching, and it's working very well. As it happens, there are more McMaster graduates coaching high school rugby by far than any other university. And that's one of the things I'm proudest about of our program, is that these players have taken the passion and taken it into the high schools, and they have taken on coaching roles. They're growing the game. We similarly have more referees working in the game, giving back to the game following graduation. So that's one of the things I'm most proud of, is the number of players who are coaching and refereeing and involved in the game following graduation. I think in the rugby program, it's a marked feature, and I don't know if I can take credit for it, because the assistant coaches are fantastic. The players have been, really character guys throughout. So I think we just have somehow evolved into a cohesive, positive, passionate group. And I think that's, if there's a legacy, I'd like to think that was it. At the same time, the department has grown so rapidly, and what is remarkable is to grow a department so rapidly in a time of fiscal constraint. So that's kind of like a miracle. With less and less, fewer and fewer funds coming in to university athletics departments to create the facilities, and in this university to maintain all the teams so many students can have the varsity experience is quite miraculous, because it's very easy for universities to cut programs to save money. So I think we have a very positive environment here. I think there's an atmosphere of positivity in the department, and I think we're going to go from strength to strength. For many, many years here, we've decided we'll wear maroon. So we have great relationship with the women's team. We have a great relationship with the football team. We go to watch football games, and sometimes the football players aren't playing. They're coming to watch our games. So there's a supportive environment that we're all representing McMaster. We try to represent the school with dignity and pride. So I think instilling those values in the players has been a big factor for how things have gone so well at McMaster. The key factor for me is respect. And I've always encouraged and taught that respect the game, respect the referees, respect your opponents. So some universities will have t-shirts that say, we hate Western or something, and I've never taken that approach. To me, you can't have a league without Western, Queens, Guelph, whoever they are. So there are valued opponents. When we play rugby in the field, it's no quarter given or asked, but after the game, you're just colleagues in the game of rugby. So I think that's the most important thing. I think that we show a lot of respect to our therapists, and the therapists will say how wonderful it is to work at Mac because the guys are so respectful, they don't take things for granted. The people in the sports injury clinic say how wonderful it is to treat rugby players because they show respect and they're thankful. So I think that's the key for me, is respect for other people, respect for the game, respect for referees, and then you have a positive environment.